Okay. Oh, look at this, guys. Expose, the Whisper Network exists and tries to destroy male comic pros. I repeated that twice for a reason. You'll notice the old feminist adage. They try to claim there's a patriarchy and men collude to keep women down. Well, that's them projecting, because this is reality. Reality is the girls collude to keep guys down. And this proves it. Now, this person here, Penny Parker, she talks about many of the women promoting the cancellation of men in comics and demanding they post recent empty promise known as Comic Gate's pledge are in fact hypocrites. In this article, I'm going to present evidence of lies, collusions, rumor spreading, and in my opinion, defamation and contract interference. Oh my God. Okay, this is by Penny Parker. Okay, this is probably why. It's a she, and that's probably why she got a hold of this. I personally know that they've colluded for years to take down men, specifically those with conservative politics and philosophies. This is an ongoing coordinated effort. How do I know this? Because I obtained access to their private Facebook group. See, that's why she's a woman. She probably got invited somehow. And of course, don't you guys think for 2 seconds, you right wingers, that this is a right left dichotomy, because it isn't. They just went after the right wingers first, but it's women against men. Now, this is part one of the Apocalypse leaks. This is simply too much to put in one leak, so I will make the following 3 points for now. She says, one is the so-called comic book Whisper Network, which has been dismissed as conspiracy since 2016, is real. And I have hundreds of screenshots to prove it. 2, the Whisper Network has been targeting men for trying to destroy their careers. And trying to destroy their careers and use their connection in comic books media to do so. 3, Whisper Network members have acted unprofessionally and unethically at best. At worst, they have engaged what I believe could be illegal behavior. My story. I first heard about the Whisper Network back in 2016 from folks I knew at Image, DC, Marvel, and later Valiant Comics. Wow. These are heavy hitters. These are the main comics. Depending on who I chatted with, sometimes the group was called the Women's Network, other times the Whisper Network, occasionally the Whisper Campaign, and eventually there were more conspiratorial names used mockingly. A friend called them a gender swapped 4chan, which became FemChan to some insiders. Notice they aren't using those anymore. You know why? Because guys always defend themselves this way. Their mentality by mocking, like these women have no power. But women are privileged over men and have power over men. They have actual real clout. So naturally, I'm glad they finally stopped using these silly terms. Regardless of the name, it was all the same group. The same 5 or 6 names kept popping up in conversation over and again. As time ticked on, I noticed a trend on social media, half a decade of rumors, false allegations, cancellation attempts, and they almost always trace back to these same 5 or 6 people. The goal of the Whisper Network, according to the industry folks, was simple. Choose a target, smear them until they lose their reputation, their income, and are ultimately blacklisted, opening up job opportunities for the same people who started these smear campaigns in the first place. This is exactly like hashtag Me Too. That's how hashtag Me Too works. It uses false allegations of sexual misconduct to then remove the man destroy him utterly, and then replace him with a woman. Okay. Invented enemies, don't tell me. Tell the Whisper Network that keeps anyone who remotely leans right from working. This is from Drew Calici. There's countless instances of these creators being totally disrespectful, sorry. SJWs exist even though they're a social construct. Then he gives you this stupid emoji. Guys do this shit all the time. There's nothing funny about this. Behind the scenes, these cancellations are painted as morally or politically motivated. But in the end, it's all financial. As time passed, the group in question seemed more and more like a reality. I saw their influence. I saw things I knew to be verifiably untrue go viral online, appearing in what I thought were legit news sources. I felt angry and helpless seeing innocent people getting attacked, but I did not know what to do. Evil grows in the darkness. Let's say a few years passed, and by 2018, almost everyone interacted with the industry seemed to know about the network. Top level editors right down to the letterers. It was an open secret, but no one was willing to speak up for being targeted themselves. They knew the consequences. The thing is, here's a case where these people could have been stopped and ousted at any time, but men don't show solidarity with one another. All they had to do was be openly and say, why don't we do something about these people? But they never do. Men are afraid of women. There's another feminist lie. Women are scared of men or being murdered by men. It's the complete opposite. They're projecting again. Men are the ones who are in trouble at all times. They're the ones that fear women. Now, you could read a little of this. The severity of the crime is judged by who is reporting it. Tess Fowler gets hit on by Brian Wood equals massive industry scandal reported on all comic media. Esquiville's victim comes forward about his abuse equals industry silence. CG reports on it and is accused of sensationalism. See, this is how it works. I'm going to put this into the description box so you guys can peruse it. And that way you can read everything for yourself. I'm going to cover what she has to say. After all, this was a secret network. Without proof, there was no point in going public because the members would just deny its existence and use their media connection to smear anyone who challenged them. Then things got interesting. 2018, Whisper Network member Gail Simone, who joined the network 6 years ago, 4 years before the following tweet was posted, mocks doofuses who speculate that the Whisper campaign exists. Yes, it's part of our Whisper campaign, according to the doofuses. Here is another tweet, where Gail makes a list of fake things the Whisper campaign is discussing in an attempt to laugh away the notion. Whisper campaign topics, the good Ben Stiller movie, covering up for bad smells at cons, comics page glue, fact or myth. Bad smells at con. Notice that these women hate guys. They hate low status guys, and that's what the guys who show up at cons are, low status. And this goes to show women's general dislike of men. At this point in 2018, I was still skeptical of the Whisper Network's existence. I'd hear many stories of individuals spreading rumors and lies, and plenty of malicious behavior was going on behind closed doors. Though I wasn't ready to believe it was a coordinated effort or collusion was involved. Then certain people began openly mentioning the Whisper Network, and my attitude changed. Heather Antos, a member herself, did not outright mention the Whisper Network or her involvement, but she made what some took as a veiled threat to those who got on her bad side. Pro tip, Industries are small. People talk. Don't be a dick. Right. Heather Milkshake Girl Antos, colorful backstory at Marvel and later at Valiant, is notorious in the comic industry. A conversation about The Office rumor spreading and bullying is never complete without someone bringing up the juicy Antos anecdote. Everyone has one. So again, all this bullying bullshit is used by the actual bullies to demean guys when they are it. They are the ones. Up until then, I still hadn't seen any actual proof of a larger scheme, but then something changed in 2020. Here we are, 2020, Alex DeCampi, who I would discover is one of the most active Whisper Network members, openly admits there is a network. I have no idea if this was a slip or a brazen attempt to show off her power and influence, but this appeared. He's been verboten replying to Beth Burnett. He's been verboten on the Whisper Network for years. Time to stop whispering and start shouting. Whoever he is that they're talking about, it's a he, of course. And she basically came out and admitted it. Then on June 16th, another key member of the same group, Stephanie Cook, someone whom DeCampi often praises, converses with, and trades tweets with, makes a mention of the same group, again, without naming it directly. Cook references driving shitty people out of the industry, which is what the Facebook group has been working on in private for years. This was the most direct admission of the group's mission statement I have ever seen in public. I expect it will be deleted shortly. Whisper, this is from Stephanie Cook. Whisper networks are not enough. So just admit it, shit. They do exist. They only protect people in the know enough to talk to people with the insider knowledge. We need to do better at driving shitty people out of the industry. So I suspect guys in the inside the industry, they know are innocent. They want to be, they make it a broader, it's not working enough for them. Eventually, everything I had heard and read was confirmed beyond any shadow of doubt after I gained access to their private Facebook group. Wow, was she invited? I was inside the Whisper Network. This is the place where the Whisper Network has been including for years. And although their activity is not confined to just this site, from what I can tell, this is where they first met and started coordinated campaigns. Hear that, guys? These women got together in the Matriarchy and planned to keep men down. Men who did nothing wrong. They're just men, and so therefore these women hate them and they have to go. Members of the secret group called Comic Book Women. At present time, there were 440 plus members of the secret Facebook group called the Comic Book Women. From what I can tell, a few are regular users, though many of them have never posted. Secret Facebook groups offer the same level of privacy as closed groups, but operate under a cloak of invisibility. No one can search for the secret groups or even request to join them. The only way to get into one is to know someone who can invite you. Everything shared in the secret group is visible only to the members. There are these members, Gail Simone, Zoe Quinn, she's got a bad reputation. Alex DeCampi that you keep hearing about. They say, I'll put this in here in the description box and you can look at these. This secret group includes a list of members whose actions and connections speaks for themselves. The several key members of the group are women who work in the comics media and be used to run damage control, including women like Heidi McDonald at the Comics Beat. They have contacts outside of the secret network as well, with some male allies in both comics and in the media. See, all you guys, all these cope channels, this is how it was done. Like that, they call these feminist weirdos. They aren't weirdos. Guys in the industry sacrificed their artistic, integrity to have these young women around. They wanted these pretty young women around. Well, some of them are pretty, some aren't, but the point is, This is how guys operate. And that's why this happened. That's how these no talented bums got where they were. Let's see. Just the fact that all of these folks were secretly linked in a private network came as a shock to me, considering the reputations and the accusations they've made. Immediately, I began to connect the dots. Well, I didn't realize they had so many members. They denied for years that they coordinated their actions in private, and yet they always coincidentally appeared on Twitter, retweeting and amplifying each other's accusations, signal boosting to one another and helping them gain traction. And their allies in media, Bleeding Cool and CBR specifically, will turn those same tweets into stories almost instantly and without fact checking or verification, sometimes within the hour. See, the feminists are smart. That's why they always went for media, because they get in there and all of a sudden you're reading a news article and you don't know that it's full of shit or that it's biased. I'm going to start explaining who the key actors are and from my perspective, how they coordinate these attacks. Key actors. There are too many people to focus on at once, so I'll have to break into several posts. I will start with the one clear group leaders, in my opinion. Alex DeCampi is well connected despite never being part of the big two. Since what I've been told, management is well aware of her bullying, harassment, rumor spreading, and unethical behavior that goes back years. Depending on who you talk to, she's almost as notorious as Antos and Tess Fowler. Yet these women can never get fired. Never notice that? No one's saying it, just comes up and says, okay, let's fire these terrible people. She just wrapped up a graphic novel campaign on Kickstarter with David Bowie's son, the Hollywood film director Duncan Jones. It grossed $366,000. Okay. All the while, she makes baseless accusations while demanding transparency from everyone else. Comics publisher need an independent, dedicated HR person who victims can confidentially and safely approach when their freelancers harass the colleagues and fans. There needs to be real consequences attached to those reports. HR, in other words, someplace that women can go to, say a guy said something nasty about me and get him fired. Now I'll take you into their private network. 2 years ago, 2018, DeCampi launched a private campaign to target an independent creator claiming she was using her connections to have Simon & Schuster cancel their book. There you go. Like I say, you guys can read this for yourself. Let's see if I can't get that a little bigger. Yeah, a little bigger again. Okay, well, I'll just put it in for you to read. So, of course, hey, folks, so apparently Richard Meyer's shitty graphic novel, Jawbreaker, is going to be distributed by Simon & Schuster. I have all these folks on mute for sanity reasons, but anyone finds out more details, please let me know so we can talk to my folks at SNS and try to stop that shit from happening. There you go. And when she sees by sanity is people would come in and say you're full of shit or you're a liar. So there's one of her backing her up. Like I say, I'll put this in and you guys can read all this for yourself. In addition to contacting the publishers, others in the Whisper Network coordinated their efforts, contact media outlets to have their narrative changed, according to the post in this thread. Again, in my opinion, this could end up as a defamation or a torturous interference case, has many implications regarding media bias as well. The following month, June 23, DeCampi posted private text messages between herself and writer Max Bemis in what appeared to be an attempt to damage his career. Despite Bemis being mentally ill, DeCampi still posted the private messages with malicious intent, in my opinion. According to US and UK law, this is actionable offense. Posting private text without both parties consenting. Now, this is what she posted. I won't go, like I say, you guys can read this. But the point is, this is private text and she's making them so everyone can see it. She's making them public. 2 months later, Campy singled out Cullen Bunn for a private bullying campaign on an attempt to damage his career, in my opinion. This was an attempt to loosely link Bunn to Comicsgate, even in the flimsiest way, hoping it would prevent him from earning income if the rumor spread far enough. Publicly and privately, this was one of the Whisper Network's primary tactics. Comicsgate, huh? So whatever stink is on Comicsgate, they would just say these people were involved. And of course, because there were a bunch of women saying it, people would believe them, listen and believe, right? Here they are. Jan Hartley, the same faces you see over and over again. Yep, same faces. Notice which names keep popping up, exactly. Then most recently in 2020, DeCampi began spreading unverified rumors that Dynamite Comics was not paying their contractors. This was malicious, in my opinion, and was only designed to hurt the reputation of the company. She provided no evidence to her claims, to my knowledge. She doesn't have to. I mean, she does, but really, she doesn't to get done what she wants done. Listen and believe. Everyone really does listen and believe when a bunch of women start saying stuff. Hey, folks, I heard from artist friends that Dynamite was basically stopped paying freelancers and its accounting department isn't responding to anyone if you're waiting on checks from them. Okay, there you go. And again, same face, familiar face there. But lately, DeCampi hasn't even been hiding her accusations and malicious behavior. It's just that no one has been calling her out on it. Of course, guys are scared of women. You know how women's claim, like especially feminists, that women are afraid of men? They're afraid they'll get murdered by men or being killed by men. That's all lies. And it's also projection. I keep telling you guys over and over again, this is projection. Men are afraid of women. Guys could get together and tackle this issue if they ever want to show solidarity. They never do. They keep their heads down and hope they're not targeted. CEO of Dynamite popped into CG Stream to donate money. Please consider that in the future. So I take it this is a bold-faced lie by this Magdalene Visaggio, right? Someone says, got a receipt for that, Mags? See, I hate stupid talk like this. Guys are scared of these women. So instead of doing something about it, they give these little quips with the ideas that, hey, people just realize that they're lying. And so I don't have to do anything. And of course, by now we know that's not true. Unless whoever said that, I mean, how can I say this? I mean, the average person doesn't know what's going on. So all they know is a bunch of young girls are saying nasty thing about guys. And so they believe them. In June 25th, 2020, DeCampi publicly accused DC Comics writer Scott Snyder of lying when he pledged not to abuse, harass, and groom women. First of all, how can you groom women? You can only groom children. Women are adults. Harass could be a dressing down from an employer to employee. You screwed up. Maybe you got yelled at. And that could be accused of abuse too. But the fact was, this guy, Scott Snyder, pledged this, shows you what lay down guys are. Just like women are in charge. They always have been. I would have told her to shove that pledge up her ass. Again, DeCampi offered no proof of Snyder committing any sex crimes, that he was planning to commit a sex crime in the future. Here is the link of Bleeding Cool publishing her claim that she doesn't believe Scott would say no to abusing, grooming, and harassing women. Who cares what she believes? What I care about is this guy. She showed himself as weak by doing this, by taking this pledge. When these cowards, is what they are. See you weak when you show weakness by apologizing and going along. That's blood in the water. These sharks. These women have no courage whatsoever. If there was any pushback at all, they'd run little girls. This is cute, but we don't believe you. One, and two, it goes way beyond this to things like speaking up and using your privilege to push change when you see that nobody of marginalized backgrounds are being hired as by creators at a particular office, or they're only given token books. You see, this is more projection again. This woman has privilege. She has female privilege, and she's pushing these guys around. Scott Snyder, I pledge to say no abuse, blah, blah, blah. See, she has privilege over this guy. He knows his place. We live in a matriarchy, not a patriarchy, and we always have. DeCampi is the Zoe Quinn of comic book media. From what I've seen and heard, DeCampi has deep personal relationships with certain members of the comic book media, which she believes is why she feels emboldened to do and say the things she wants to do with no fear of consequences. Well, there are no consequences for her, obviously, right? So, of course, she's bold. And from my perspective, DeCampi mirrors her Whisper Network comrade Zoe Quinn in many ways, whose deep personal relationships with the gaming media are well documented too. Personal relationships, I wonder what they mean. Is there any sleeping around? But there's no point in me saying that because they don't need to actually do that. Guys want women around. They're willing to sell their souls over it. I mean, this is what happened to Marvel Comics. Hey, all you Coke channels, this is what happened to Marvel Comics. A bunch of young women came around, and the guys wanted them around more than pleasing their male audience. So they chucked their male audience away for these girls. The glowing praise about DeCampi from certain outlet paints a picture. Take the following excerpts, more like a hagiographies, whatever that is, for example, which are from Rich Johnson at Bleeding Cool. Okay, I'll let you guys read that. Oh, like I said, I'll put it in the description box for you to read over. If you want to, just freeze the screen as far as that goes. Now, and lately her online bullying harassment has gotten even more brazen, of course, because she realized she has power and there's no consequences for doing what she does. Most recent is DeCampi is all but told her Twitter followers to DM her if they wanted to hear rumors about the jerks, that's guys, whose careers she'd like to damage. This sort of open and casual comment on destroying people's livelihoods is still going unchecked, of course, because who's rallying to stop these people? Everyone just lays down and takes it. Malicious tweets like this regularly go unchecked because DeCampi knows her vast media contacts, allies in the Whisper Network won't hold her accountable. And while others have their careers destroyed, she remains untouched and never faces any scrutiny or is asked to even back up any of her claims. Of course, it's listen and believe. A bunch of women are saying something. This is how Me Too works. If two women say something, two or more, then everyone says, well, they can't all be lying. And they just go with it. Because as long as it's not them, they don't care. The theory goes something like this. Anyone in the comic book media is already in the already in the Whisper Network's pocket, or simply too cowardly to speak up. Thank you. I'm glad she used that word, cowardly. That's what it is. Anyone outside the comic book media won't pay attention to this disgusting behavior because the comic book industry is simply too small to make a national story out of. But make no mistake, if Jim Lee or Joe Quesada publicly made a statement like this, every media outlet on the globe would be reporting it within an hour, and those men would be expected to resign. They don't have the privileges that the Whisper Network provides. These guys don't have the privileges that these women have by dint of their gender. Things to watch for when this story goes public. Who defends Alex DeCampi and the rest of the Whisper Network's behavior. Her most vocal supporters will most likely be Whisper Network allies or the network itself, which comic book media outlets will totally ignore this story. If this were someone outside the Whisper Network, it would generate weeks of news. But the Campy, most comic book news outlets will undoubtedly protect her. And finally, who at Marvel, DC, and other companies will take action? A wider HR effort is needed to stop bullying, harassment, and rumor spreading, lying, and other forms of sabotage in the careers of fellow creators, especially in cases where there is no evidence. And the social media is clearly being weaponized by members of the Whisper Network. If anything comes from the series of articles, I hope a level of professionalism returns to the comics and media industry, and that folks are held accountable for malicious behavior designed to destroy peers and advance their own careers. I'm sorry, Penny, but for this to happen, you've got to admit that this is a women against men thing. You have to voice it in that way. Someone actually has to put limits on female behavior. They have to destroy, listen, believe. They have to start disbelieving. Final words. Now that they've been exposed, what narrative will Whisper Network and their allies in the media run with? We only target right-wing extremists, or we only target sexual predators is their logical defense. In my opinion, these will be the lines they'll use to justify their lies, bullying, inclusion. But this is simply untrue. It may have been slightly more true in 2016 when the targets were almost exclusively on the right, though I'd argue few were extreme. In 2020, the Whisper Network is regularly targeting liberals. Do you get that? All you guys who talk about leftist. See, this is a woman versus man thing. Because you see, once they might have started with right-wing guys, but they're just attacking them because they are guys. And when all the right-wingers were gone, they started on the left-wingers, the ones they call liberals. So all you Cope channels, smarten up. And why not? Since every conservative creator has been effectively soft blacklisted from the industry thanks to their ongoing effort. There's effectively no right-leaning creator left remaining in the industry to attack. And so, like I said, they're going after the left-wingers because this isn't about right and left politics. These feminists are neither left nor right. All you guys who try to argue that, all these guys who try to make it about communism and Marxism, and the super elites spawned it. This is not over. I have a lot more evidence, and it continues to pour in from various sources. As you can see, there are still many more files to be opened. Well, Antos Heather, oh yeah, DeCampi, oh my God, okay. She's got files. In the meantime, if you will please share this article, and I will, Penny, thank you, and use this hashtag, Hypocalypse. Help us spread the word. Share stories and start conversation. Keep your eyes on certain Twitter feeds and let other folks know how you feel about the Whisper Network and comics. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And we need a lot more light shining on this problem if we're ever going to get it solved. This is a great metaphor because these girls are a disease and they can't live in the light. What's that old song? Evil grows in cracks and holes and lives in people's minds. Sincerely, Penny. Good. Great job, Penny. This is an incredible piece of work. And as you can see, you guys, it's always been there. This is, like I said, never been a patriarchy. It's been a matriarchy, and it's the women that turn around and work their best together to keep men down. These guys earn their place in the comics book industry, and these women worked to get rid of them for no other reason that they are men, and the ones that are doing it are women. And this is why, we have to be honest about gender dynamics and male and female nature, because this is what it's about. Anyway, like I said, again, I'm going to put this in the description box, and please, people, read it. It's important. And that's all I have to say. Goodbye.